Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the US Capitol building. If you've joined us today for the insurrection, please make sure you pick up a promotional leaflet on the way in, stay inside the safety cordons at all times, and if you get lost, speak to one of our Capitol police officers. They'll be sure to point you in the right direction. And be sure to set aside a little time today to join us for some insurrection activities, including our photography tour, our fancy dress competition, and have a go on our climbing wall. But don't forget those safety ropes. And I've now received the results of our fancy dress competition. The winner today is Jacob Chansley. That's Mr. Jacob Chansley. If you could report to your nearest Capitol police officer, they'll be sure to give you your prize, a guided tour of the building. And some great news just in. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has agreed to pose for selfies for the remainder of the afternoon. You can find her cowering under a desk in the Cannon office building. So, thank you for joining us today for the insurrection. Wherever possible, please try to clean up after yourselves. Don't forget to visit the souvenir shop on the way out, grab yourself a light refreshment, and enjoy the music of our very own fancy dress competition winner.
What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Recording. I hope you're having an absolutely wonderful day. If you are, make sure you leave a like on the video, and if you haven't yet, please do click that subscribe button down below or follow wherever you might be watching. At least I hope I will earn that today from you. It's hard to get discovered out there really on any platforms, and I hope that I will earn that today. Now, Joe Rogan hosted well-known TDS suffering comedian Jim Gaffigan, a man that used to be pretty hilarious until Donald Trump literally broke his mind. I mean, this interview is so unhinged and off the rails that I don't really know any other way to describe it to you without showing you a nice collection of clips from it. Now, Jim Gaffigan, again, flash in the pan comedian for the most part, has basically been making the weirdo rounds on places like The View and places like that over the years because he's obsessed with Trump. He literally broke him. It has been going on unhinged rants for years. You see this article back from 2020. Jim Gaffigan says his anti-Trump rant was liberating, but it made him a target. It was an unhinged Twitter rant. Here's the thing, like, I don't really care who, like, if there are Biden voters in my viewership or Trump voters or whatever. I try to be, we all have our biases, right? But I don't really, I want to have everybody be able to watch my videos and not feel alienated. I mean, certainly there are a lot of people that voted for Biden that are probably feeling a little bit of, I don't know, buyer's remorse. So why wouldn't I want them to be able to watch my videos freely? This is something that Hollywood doesn't understand. You know, as their numbers continue to plummet, they continue to struggle, they continue to have, you know, box office disasters. They just can't figure out why. Well, you know, maybe telling half of your viewers that you hate them is probably not a good idea for business. See, Gaffigan responded in a lengthy Facebook post Sunday night entitled, "What I've Learned Since I Lost My Mind," which he also shared on his official Twitter and Instagram accounts, and explained what set him off, as well as what the responses taught him about the state of American politics. So he went on this just absolute unhinged rant. He writes, first things first, he says he wasn't drunk. And then he really does think most people would let an actor or comedian sway their, or he didn't really think most people let an actor or comedian sway their vote, despite the fact that the current president is essentially both an actor and a comedian. He was hoping to, quote, change some minds, he admitted, particularly the minds of people he believes are frightened enough by Trump and GOP lies, they would pinch their nose and vote for Trump despite not really believing in him. One of his like unhinged rant, you see Jim Gaffigan slams Trump in Twitter rant during RNC speech. He's a fascist who has no belief in law. I'm not exactly sure what he did during his presidency, other than the documents, which it seems like every president does, that would indicate he was a fascist or fascistic in any way. But, you know, look, Trumpers, I get it. As a kid, I was a Cubs fan, and I know you stick by your team no matter what. But he's a traitor and a con man who doesn't care about you. Deep down, you know it. I'm sure you enjoy making people mad, but you know Trump is a liar and a criminal. He really did just break these people. Here's again this tweet, a clip by Viva Frey, which is great. It says TDS is real and Jim Gaffigan's brain is still broken. Jim Gaffigan calls Trump a liar and a criminal, slams Trumpers in a series of tweets. Okay, here's just a 1-minute clip about the hilarious corruption around Sam Bankman-Fried walking away scot-free.
It seems to me like the fix is in.
Well, let me ask you this. All right, so
So again, let me just say on this clip, he's not talking about Donald Trump at all. He's talking about Sam Bankman-Fried, a fraudster. Okay, but what does Jim Gaffigan do within 3 sentences? Bring it back to Trump, because his brain is truly broken.
It seems to me like the fix is in.
Well, let me ask you this. All right, so any comedian would look at that and go, all right, so somebody in the Justice Department was like, he donated a lot to our people, let's make this go away. So
yes, of course, of course, it's ridiculous, but Trump.
Here's a question I have. So there is that that level of corruption, but do you look at that level of corruption and see it as equal to what Trump has been?
What does Trump have to do with this at all? What does Trump have to? By the way, Trump hasn't been president in almost 4 years. What are you talking about?
Repeatedly busted as. Do you see those as equal, or do you see like
what does it have to do with Trump at all?
That as because I wonder if.
By the way, he sounds completely broken mentally. He can't even form a sentence.
Like to me, it's like. Like the indictments against Trump, I'm like, it's gonna keep going, right? There's gonna be more things, whereas like this is
it's only one
corruption. I'm not justifying it, but like I feel like some people see this as totally equal. You think both sides?
What? Literally, what vague corruption? Our Justice Department is letting this kid off who defrauded hundreds of millions of dollars allegedly. And because he donated tens of millions of dollars to them, it's obvious they are owned. They are bought and paid for. But Jim Gaffigan's like, but Trump? Literally what? You see some of the replies. If you ask the TDS deranged why Donald Trump is a criminal, they will stammer and latch onto something like the classified documents. Apparently not registering that Joe Biden's classified documents scandal is far worse. Look, they're both bad. They're both bad. You see, he's trying so hard to make Trump stuff sound worse. And by the way, again, this question wasn't about Trump in any way, shape, or form. I mean, like, what? Couldn't listen to? The guy's voice was annoying. Now that's white fragility. Stopped watching him a long time ago. He was a good comedian. Then TDS took him over. It's so crazy. It's like this is perfect. Like what you've just said here is the most insanely idiotic things I've ever heard. At no point your ramblings an incoherent response are you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul. Like, it's the perfect meme for that. He can't even articulate his position. He admits to the corruption in the legal system, but then holds indictments from that same system of Trump against Trump. Very good, valid point, right? Like, he's saying, well, yeah, it's corrupt, but the charges, the indictments that they've made of Trump are obviously pure and righteous. And here, this is a 7-minute clip, which I'm not going to play even half of it, but you can watch it on Joe Rogan's show. Obviously, Joe Rogan's on Spotify. But you see Joe Rogan destroying Jim Gaffigan. Again, here's another obvious case. Like, you see some of the replies, explains exactly what happened. But why would the agencies do that? What would they have to gain? Gaffigan is such a moron, needs to go back to talking about Hot Pockets. Yeah, that's Hot Pockets. That's about the only thing anyone knows him from, right? But this one is like, what? There's a clip too. Oh my god, there's so many. There was a clip. Let me see. Like, oh my god, it was like he was talking about how let's see, Biden, great dad. I forget where, like, I think he made like some weird unhinged rant about how Gaffigan maybe. Oh well, I won't have it right now, but there's so many. Just go watch a show if you want, like, if you want to be a good deterrent for people to just, if you can't handle politics, just stay out of it.
Further I think the January 6th thing is pretty bad.
Well, the January 6th thing is bad, but also the intelligence agencies were involved in provoking people to go into the Capitol building. That's fact.
So wait a minute. You're saying that guy, what's his name?
Ray Epps.
Yeah, you really think that he?
I don't know, but I do know that
I think
every
that's
other
pretty apparent. I think he's going to sue Fox.
I think every other person who was involved in January 6th, who was involved in coordinating a break-in into the Capitol and in instigating people breaking, they were all arrested. This guy wasn't. Not only that, they were defending him in the New York Times, the Washington Post, all these different things, saying that Fox News is unjustly accused him of instigating. Well, he clearly instigated. He did it on camera. I don't know if he was a Fed. I know a lot of people think he was a Fed. The people that were there were calling him a Fed. What I do know is when they asked the FBI, the FBI said, we can't tell you whether or not there were people that were there that were doing that. Now, there's been reports that there was hundreds of agents that were there that were doing that. I don't know if that's true either. But I do know that they do use agent provocateurs to disrupt peaceful protests. It's a common tactic. What they do is, say if there's a, like the World Trade Organization is a great example. And that was in, I think, the 90s in Seattle. And so what they did was they were protesting the World Trade Organization. They were doing it peacefully. It was a big problem. So what they did is they sent in, allegedly, agent provocateurs. They started smashing buildings and lighting things on fire. Now it's not a peaceful protest. Now they can bring in the police. Now they can start arresting people. And then they created a no-protest zone where literally if you had a pin on your jacket that was the WTO with a red line through it, they would not let you cross. You could not cross with a pin that was against the WTO and go to work. There was a no protest zone. So they
suspended the First Amendment.
Silenced protest, which is a part of our freedom of speech. So this is a tactic that some government agencies use to stop
but
peaceful
wait a minute.
protest.
All right, so what you're saying is on January 6th, that this event that obviously Trump organized,
what?
about the Giuliani stuff and the, whether they thought that it was
He definitely
stolen.
encouraged people to protest.
Yes. But, all right, so you're saying that, like...
He's, like, shaking.
The FBI and Nancy Pelosi... And I'm
not saying Nancy Pelosi.
No, but, like, you're saying that, like, they're like, we'll make this, instead of an awkward protest, we'll encourage it so that it'll be... It'll backfire on Trump rather than being this rising of people that believe that there was election corruption.
I think it's certainly possible.
I think that would be hard. You think it's possible? I think it's possible.
You don't think it's... Wait a minute. You think it's hard to do?
I think that, that the FBI...
I mean, it is one of the most, like, you could see he's like his brain's completely shorting out. This is what TDS does to people. Look, I'm not a fan of Joe Biden, but I don't think about him. I don't let him ruin my life. I don't let him, drive decisions I make on what I eat for dinner. But these people do that stuff for Trump, and it's sick. It's sad, and I'd feel bad for them if they just weren't so insufferable. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. We'll talk to you again real soon.